On Brexit, do you believe that the markets are complacent about the possibility of a no-deal Brexit?
Well, look, the way I would put this, also as a representative of a firm, and there are many firms, financial firms, but also corporate firms, it is extraordinary that we're a couple of weeks away from this legal date, in a sense, and you still have no clarity whatsoever as to what's going to happen. I would assume that even a cabinet member today in the UK cabinet probably can't tell you with certainty what's going to happen, or even can give you probability. So this is a shocking development in a way. It's not a surprise. But nonetheless, when you consider the amount of money that has been spent by the financial sector and the corporate sector to prepare for something we still don't know how it's going to play out, that's a problem. I think given that there is this uncertainty, there's always a risk that things go wrong. I suspect in the end, and I certainly hope that we won't see a hard Brexit, but you can't rule it out. And that leaves a risk factor that weighs on market sentiment at the moment. There's no doubt about that.
But so is the biggest risk that you see, to the UK economy, is it to banks actually that maybe need to move staff to make sure that they comply with regulation ahead of the March 29th deadline? Or is it really to pound and possible volatility if something were to not go to plan?
I mean, my sense is very simple, Francine. The United Kingdom is simply not ready for a hard Brexit. And you can look at that at every level, whether it's in banks, in financial services, in terms of medical supplies, in terms of logistics, in terms of transport, in terms of farming policy, you name it. I think the reality is the country is not ready at this point for a hard Brexit, and we can all hope that this outcome can indeed be avoided. But it is the legal default. It is the legal default. People forget this. This is a hard Brexit. If nothing else happens, we end up in a hard Brexit. That's the legal default option, and that is, of course, deeply worrying.
Who do you think is better at predicting crises or actually, severe downturns, the markets or economists? And what are they both getting wrong?
Oh, I think both markets and economists, as well as policymakers, frankly, are pretty poor at predicting crises, particularly the next crisis. In this case, it's not so much that you don't know where it's going to come from. We simply know that we must avoid a hard Brexit as the next most imminent risk to this fragile global economy. Again, the key point here is that we're in this late cycle phase. We're in a globalized, synchronized slowdown. Per se, that's not something to worry a great deal about, but we do know that in this environment, we want to avoid an unnecessary policy mistake or one of the big risks from materializing, because we'll be in a very exposed position when that happens.